So welcome back. Now in this episode, I'm going to answer the question, why is investing in real estate a good idea? Now my name is Ted Thomas and I've been investing in real estate since 1970. That's a long time ago. But the last 25 years I've spent in the tax lien certificate and tax deed business. So I've become an expert at that and I'm going to pass on some of that expertise to you. Meanwhile, I'll explain some of the other reasons for getting into real estate. But I'm really an expert at this one area, which I like the best. I've tried all the others. Now, I started out with small condos, then I kind of grew to single family homes, and then I added to that, I started doing what I call small office buildings, and then I grew all the way to large apartment properties with 200 units and sometimes 300 units, and they were even in different states. Now, all of those businesses are good, but they all have a lot of challenges. For example, if you're going to be in the rental business, not only can you make a lot of money, but you can also have properties that could be empty, and keeping them filled is a major project. Now, to keep them filled, you might have to learn a lot about marketing that has nothing to do with real estate, but you need to keep those properties filled. So in this episode, I'm going to teach you about a little known but very lucrative part of the business that very few people know about. I'm also going to show you towards the end how to make 20% returns that are just guaranteed from a local state government. But I'm also going to show you when I finish, so stay tuned for the very last, because I'm going to show you two mistakes that real estate investors make that cost them thousands and thousands of dollars. And I want you to be able to avoid those, so stay with me and I'll come right back. Why investing in real estate is a good idea. This is a profitable business. That's why it's a good idea. Now, in the good times, everything is great. But when the markets get overbuilt, or we have shortages of money, or we go into a recession, they tumble and we have a recession. That is not so easy. Now, everybody likes to say they want to get a big property and make lots of money. So in different parts of the country, they have housing shortages. And if you happen to own apartments and there's a housing shortage, you're probably going to be able to make quite a bit of money because you can get good rents. But it always doesn't work that way. So developers try to develop big properties so that so there's a bigger inventory. Well, actually, the federal government, HUD, Housing and Urban Development, they lend money to these big developers. And they'll give them 100% of the money to build these big apartment properties. But they're not so easy to manage. So that's the challenge with real estate. Management is a big deal. A lot of people don't see that, but there's a lot of management in those big properties. And how will you know that? Well, just pick up the Wall Street Journal and you'll see, once a week, you'll see big properties in big cities for sale by HUD. Now, HUD is Housing and Urban Development. They're a lender. They end up getting these huge properties back, and they only can sell them to investors. So if you're ready for that, well, if you've got a management team, you could look at that. That's another way to make money. All right, did I say it was easy? No, but it really requires a lot of management. All right, now there's always inflation in rents. The rents are always easing up. They ease up and ease up, and that's why a lot of people like real estate. For example, most people would consider real estate a hard asset, something to own during inflation times. That certainly is we're approaching right now. Lots of inflation, so people want to own real estate. So you look at what your parents did, or you look at what your uncle did, they bought properties and held on to them. At least they kept their money growing along with inflation. So is it a good investment? Yes. I love niches, okay? Now, I don't know about farms. I don't know about commercial. I don't know about cattle ranchers, but I can tell you a niche that I do know about, and that's tax defaulted property and tax lien certificates. That business has been around for 200 years. I didn't invent it. The local state and counties got together and invented it, and it's a business that's very level. You can always make money. All right, am I negative on the other businesses? No, but understand, you could easily have trouble with management if you just think you're going to buy and hold it and wait and it's going to make money. All right, so I like the tax defaulted business because what's one man's garbage can be another man's gold very quickly when people don't pay taxes. So let's talk a little bit about that. There's 5,000 auctions across the country every year involving tax deeds and tax liens. 5,000 of those auctions. And they're all authorized by the county, they're all mandated by the county, and they're all run by the county. Now, how did the county get in that business? Well, simply this. Many people don't pay their tax. Now, the law says if you own property, you must pay tax. So the local state government authorizes the county to take care of all that. So if someone doesn't pay the tax, the legislature of the state says to the county treasurer, listen, levy the tax, collect the tax, and if you can't collect it, confiscate the property. Folks, when they confiscate the property, they don't want the property. They want the tax revenue. So when they go to sell that property, they don't ask retail. They'll sell those properties for very close to back taxes. Now that might be 10 cents, 20 cents, or 30 cents on the dollar. Now if you can buy a property for 10 cents, 20 cents, or 30 cents on the dollar, are you way ahead of everybody else that's paying 110% for property? Well, of course you are. So I really like this business. Been around for 200 years. The person just has to learn about it. Now you're going to have comments and suggestions and whatever. And when you have those right below me, you can make those in the comment box and we'll answer all the questions and send you a gift. So for over 25 years, I've been involved in tax lien certificates and tax defaulted property. I have lots of students making big money in this space. Now, how are they doing that? Well, there's 5,000 auctions and there's 3,000 counties. So that means there's going to be a lot of this, okay? So imagine yourself buying a tax lien certificate, which is guaranteed by the county that you will get paid. If you don't get paid, you get the property. If you do get paid, you're going to make 16, 18, 24% on your money. So that's a good investment. But I really like what we're talking about today. So I'm answering the question, why is investing a good idea in real estate? Well, I'll tell you, because there's lots of different parts of it you can do. Now, anybody can own tax defaulted property. Anybody can buy them. The system's been around for a couple of hundred years. You just need to learn how to get started in it. I'm going to give you a couple of examples here in just a minute. Now, in a county that has a low population, you're out in the middle of Illinois or you're in Utah, one of those places, they don't have many people in the county, there's not going to be a lot of tax lien certificates and there's not going to be a lot of tax defaulted properties. So that's why we teach you how to do it online. But now in the populous counties, Los Angeles, Miami-Dade, Dallas, the point is those counties will have a lot of auctions. For example, I've been in one way or another attached to the Houston auction by either looking at it or going to it for over 20 years. I've never seen less than 200 properties a month. Whereas in Los Angeles, every time I attended, and it's been about 4 or 5 times, there was 1,500 or more properties that they were selling for 10 cents on the dollar starting bid. Now, why are they doing that? The counties don't want those properties. They want the revenue from those. So my point is, now I've got a business that is a never-ending supply. People will always be losing properties. So am I competing for those office buildings downtown? Am I worried about collecting rents? Am I worried about the money supply? No, because now I can buy into a business where I can create value. I can buy for 10, 20, 30 cents on the dollar for a property that might be worth $400,000. And I've done that. I might have paid 30 cents on the dollar, but I still had plenty of room to make money. You can do the same thing. All right, now every property owner in America is required to pay tax. If they don't pay tax, the county treasurer will do one of two things. One, they will issue a tax lien certificate. You can make money on that. Or if they don't do that, they'll confiscate the property and they'll sell it. All right, so the county treasurer has power. They have power to do exactly what they want. All that power is authorized by the state legislature. Levy the tax, collect the tax. If they can't collect it, they're going to have a property that they're going to put out there in the marketplace to sell. Now, if you want to buy tax lien certificates, yes, you can do that too. All right, so what kind of rates can we look at? Well, the counties in New York, at least on Long Island, and that's Nassau and Suffolk County, those two counties pay up to 12%. But here in Florida, they pay up to 18%. Maryland pays 24%. All right, you're getting the idea. Okay, and if you go over to Arizona, they pay 16%. I can show you even better than that, and I'm going to do that in just a minute. So let me give you an idea. All right, people don't know about this, and I'll have a whole video on it later. All right, I'm going to tell you about Mr. J. Now, Mr. J bought 4 properties. He bought the deeds on 4 properties in Georgia. 4. My goodness, at one auction he bought 4. Wow, he spent $120,000 paying all the taxes. He paid all those taxes, went through the bidding process, but now he owned 4 of those properties. Now, the way it works in Georgia, if they come in and pay within 1 year, they have to give you back all your money plus 20%. And it's a guaranteed 20%. I said they pay you back all your money plus 20%. Well, those homeowners did come in and pay him. So he made 20% on each one of those. So his $120,000 he invested now grew by 20%. That means it grew by $24,000 and he got all his money back. Now, folks, I don't have time to give you all the nitty-gritties on that, but stay tuned to another video and I will tell you about that, how they made a guaranteed 20%. All right, now I'm going to run out of time, so I want to do a couple of questions, and then we're going to move down and make sure you guys understand what to do to avoid those mistakes. But here's the questions first. Okay, the question is, which local office is in charge of tax liens? Every county has their own way of doing it, but you can call the county, and when you get the first indication of someone answering the phone, you could ask them to talk to the treasurer's office. But a treasurer is in charge of all of the auctions. Probably an easy way is go online and look up the treasurer's site, and the treasurer's site even show you properties. And we actually have classes to teach you how to do that. The question was, do I need special equipment to bid online? No, but you darn sure need some special training. You don't need any special equipment. The properties will be sold by private companies, and the private companies will give you a whole list of those when you're ready for it. Also show you how to do the bidding. We actually have classes on that. Every day in our office we have classes, but every Friday we have classes just on how to buy online. So let me tell you about those two mistakes that I'm concerned, and I want to teach you to avoid these mistakes. Number one mistake is this. People go to the auction, they get to the auction, and they start bidding, and they've never seen the property. Now, folks, you would not marry the woman if you hadn't seen her. Now, ladies, it works the same way. You're not going to marry the guy unless you'd seen him, right? All right, so let's look at these properties. You need to have boots on the ground and eyes on the property. Why? What if it had burned down? What if there was a hurricane? What if it was next to a big, long chicken barn? You wouldn't want to own a property next to a chicken barn. You wouldn't want to do that. So you have to look at the property. That's mistake one. Now, mistake two is similar. People get to the auction, and I know you're fired up. You're really going to make some big money, and you're determined you're going to win. And so what do? You start bidding, and you keep bidding. Now, you don't bid unless you have an exit strategy. Let me say that again. If you don't have an exit strategy, forget about bidding. Just forget it. Why? Because you could easily bid too high and go right by your exit strategy. So you need to know what you're going to sell this property for before you ever invest. All right, so thanks for watching today. I have a gift for you guys, and you're really going to like this gift, okay? Now, it's called the Safe Haven, and it's going to talk about two things that are important to you. It's going to talk about tax lien certificates, show you how to make money there, give you a lot of inside secrets, and also it's going to talk about tax defaulted property. You call those tax deeds. Now, those tax deeds are issued by the states when they sell the property, sometimes 20 cents, 30 cents on the dollar. So both of those are included in the Safe Haven. You want to take advantage of that. All you have to do is go below me and register. And if you have questions, put them in there too. I'll look forward to talking with you.